Hey, everybody, I'm Eugene Driscoll. Welcome back to the Valley Indy 2023 Great Give live stream. I am very excited to introduce my next guest making her debut appearance on the Valley Indy podcast, vlogcast, live stream, whatever you want to call this thing. It's the Reverend Patricia Leonard-Pasley of Trinity Church in Seymour, and we're here to talk about the Blessing Pantry, correct?
Yes. Thank you, Eugene. Thank you. Yes.
No, this is great. And this is part of why I love the Great Give every year. You know, I'm a news reporter. I tend to be cynical. Everything's bad and negative and all that. But once a year, we get to support the organizations that are feeding people, that are clothing people, that are providing shelter for people who need shelter. And that's what the Great Give is about. And that's why everybody should donate to the Blessing Pantry right now. I mean, you can learn about it, but the end result, you should donate by going to thegreatgive.org. You can search the organization, find it, support it, or go to valleyindy.org because I'll have a list of every local participating nonprofit in the Valley. So all that being said, I am going to shut up. Tell me about the Blessing Pantry.
Okay. So 3 years ago, we're in Seymour. We have a food bank here, but we noticed that there was a need that wasn't being met. Our food bank is open 2 days a week for a couple of hours. Most working people who need food assistance have jobs or have 2 jobs or 3 jobs, and they can't make it those hours. So we built a shed, put in about 12 containers. We called it the Blessing Pantry, and it's in our parking lot. It's open 24/7. Anybody can come. You can take anything you need. And we encourage our neighbors to fill it too. So it's take what you need, leave what you can. And it was our way of neighbors helping neighbors. And then the pandemic hit. And what we didn't realize was we didn't create it for the pandemic, but that was a lifesaver too, because it allowed our parishioners to keep volunteering, right? Because it was a contactless ministry. People could go and fill it individually. People could drive up and take what they needed individually. And at first, our volunteers said, we're going to fill it twice a day. And I thought that is not sustainable, not sustainable. And they have done that for 3 years to the point where right now we move about 8,000 pounds of food a month.
That's incredible.
It's incredible.
It's both incredible and it's sad in a way that the need is that great. And I don't know if I never would have guessed that's what's happening. So that's quite amazing. And has the need picked up? Do you feel like you're since the pandemic? Are there more people with food instability locally?
Yeah, unfortunately, the pandemic had its own set of issues. And we get out of the pandemic, and then we have this inflation. And so working people are hurting, and we hear the stories anecdotally. It's anonymous, but we run into our neighbors, and we do have lunches periodically, and we do have giveaways, and so we hear more and more stories. And it's just, I know you've heard it too. People deciding between medicine and food, people deciding between rent and heat, people deciding between, and they making those choices. So at least you can drive up to the pantry, grab 2 shopping bags, get cereal, get milk, get pasta and sauce, enough to make dinner or lunch, maybe enough to get you to the next paycheck. It's not the whole answer. It's not even close, but it provides our neighbors with a little relief.
And we should note we're talking 91 Church Street in Seymour is where Trinity Episcopal Church is located, where people can find the Blessing Pantry. That's correct, right?
Yeah, and unfortunately, we find people coming as far away as Naugatuck, as Shelton, as Beacon Falls, and we're part of, I think, a larger network. There's a lot of little free pantries that are popping up, trying to get food and supplies to people faster with less red tape. Is, I think, the niche we're filling.
And that was going to be one of my questions because I know a couple of years ago there was this initiative. I believe I could be wrong. I think it was the Valley Council on Health and Human Services and the United Way to sort of first find out, okay, what are all the places giving away or providing food in the valley? Because food instability was identified from the community index as being a real problem in the Naugatuck Valley. So is there communication between the Blessing Pantry and the more established pantries or the more formal pantries, or I guess the more traditional pantries? Is that happening? If someone's low on something in some place, is that part of a formal network?
Oh my gosh, yeah. We all work together. We meet once a month as part of a food security task force where if I have too much of something and you don't have enough, we can, because we're all serving the same population. And we'll learn about this place will give away food even though you don't keep records. And that, yeah, the communication is key. And that I'm really the valley does that really well. I'm really, really, really we a lot of our sources and donors we've gotten from just working together in June. On June 10th, we have something that we call the Pantry Palooza, which
Oh, no kidding.
it happens at Trinity. We have live acts, we have a bounce house, we have hamburgers and hot dogs, and it's to support all the little free pantries. So whatever we raise, we divide up between us, just so people know it's not just about our organization. It's we all support each other.
It's also amazing how these pantries have popped up almost all over the country, from what I understand. And as a reporter, when some of these first started popping up, I'm so used to covering like government and bureaucracy. I think to myself, "Oh wait, has that food been inspected by the local health inspector and all that?" And you sort of, I think as a reporter, sometimes you tend to look for the negative in things, but it's incredibly uplifting the way these pantries have brought communities together. I would say. And is that I mean, I guess you said what are the hours where people can show? Is it 24 hours or what did you say? I'm
It's
sorry.
24 hours a day. We've got when you open it up, we've got lights sent. I live on campus, so I'll see people come 10, 11 o'clock at night, midnight. They're getting off a shift. It's always opened. We try to make sure it's always filled. We have about 20 volunteers here. So when food comes
Wow.
in, we've got two storerooms. We've got people checking shelf dates of things. Things, we don't put anything out that we wouldn't put on our own dinner table. So while it's pop up and it's a free pantry, it really is organized, and there's a lot of people that make it happen.
And I was gonna share your Facebook page, but I just want to make sure this is your Facebook page that we're looking at right now. This is another way I would assume you get
Yep,
the word out.
the Blessing Pantry has its own Facebook page. If I say I'm Reverend Tricia from Trinity Church, no one knows who I am. If I say I'm Tricia from the Blessing Pantry, most people know that, which is the way it's supposed to be, right? We're known for the work we do, not
And is there, so people should follow this if you're not already. I'm looking at facebook.com, The Blessing Pantry. Now we're talking about the Great Give. This is a wonderful event where people can donate and directly support organizations such as yours. Is there any particular need that needs to be met at the Blessing Pantry? Is there any particular way you want to use any money collected today?
I wish I could say there was one particular need, but cleaning supplies, diapers, non-perishable food. In the summer, we have an organic garden. As soon as we put things out, they seem to go. I Inflation has hit our community hard, and we see that because business here is brisk. So anything, any way people can help is so appreciated by the people that come and use the pantry.
And you may have already addressed this, but like I said, I'm not a broadcaster, so just keep in mind I am a moron. But if I'm somebody who wants to donate items to the pantry, is there a way to do that?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that.
Okay, I didn't ask that. I wasn't sure. Okay.
On the campus, we have two big designated bins, so you can bring food and just drop it off. On the Blessing Pantry website, there's a way to donate. We also there's a way. We have a wish list on Amazon. Yeah, checks that come directly to Trinity Church that have Blessing Pantry in the memo line. Um, what we're so proud of is 100% of the food or the money that people donate goes directly to our neighbors. There is no overhead here. It just, as fast as it comes in, it goes out.
And then how long have you been involved with the church there in Seymour?
Coming up on my 5th year.
Oh, so relatively new. How did you end up in this particular congregation?
Well, I think they would tell you, and I would tell you, the Holy Spirit put us together, because I think we have the same passions. We care about our neighbors, we care about food insecurity, and we've made that our focus.
That's good to hear. So those are all my questions about the Blessing Pantry, but this is really the goal of the Great Give, and this live stream is to turn it over to the organizations that are out there helping people. So is there anything that you want to talk about or subjects you want to touch upon that I haven't raised?
Um, I would love your listeners to know that our dream, our real dream, if we were to have the headline that we want, would be Trinity Church closes Blessing Pantry because there's no longer a need for it. It is not our goal to build a bigger and better pantry or garden. It is our what we want to do is ask why do so many of our neighbors need to come to a place like this, and what are the things that we can address to make it, not to make poverty more livable, but to eradicate it where we are. So while this pantry is absolutely 100% needed right now, and we're not going to stop, we're also focused on asking the bigger questions. So hopefully in the spring, in the summer months, we're hoping to open up our kitchen. We just did a lot of renovation on our kitchen because we'd love to add a lunch program. One, because that also helps feed people, but two, when people get around a kitchen table, what starts to happen is identifying common problems and getting to know each other and hopefully coming up with solutions. So that's on the horizon for us too.
And yeah, and I'll note that several times just during this short interview, you've working families. People have jobs. Some people have, you might have a husband and wife both working and still need, because of the way things are, to stop at the food pantry to put food on the table, literally for their children. So any stereotypes that people have is definitely, I hope people realize that by now, that it really could be any of us. It seems like we're all one paycheck, especially given what happened in the pandemic, where it seems like not only were people paycheck to paycheck, it seemed like corporations and the government were all living paycheck to paycheck as well.
I can't tell you how many people I see pull up in uniforms, coming from work, coming to work. And yeah, we're talking about our working neighbors who are not making it to the end of the month, no matter how hard and how long they work. And those are the stories they're telling us.
And is the church, and are you in particular involved in, like, say, because you talked about, okay, there's a larger problem here, obviously, because we don't want to have a pantry. Well, it's quaint to read about these things. It's a feel good story in the press, but also it's sort of maddening that we have to have these things. Are you involved in any discussion? You mentioned meals being prepared, a meeting around a table, and how that can foster a discussion. Are you involved in any larger valley-wide initiatives that the public should know about, where people in either social services, the nonprofit sector, or the cloth are getting together to try to tackle what's happening?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So the group I'm most excited about, have you heard about the All In movement?
Yes, I mean, peripherally, I'm aware it's happening, but tell me about it.
So through team and neighbors, we created this group, it started out very nebulous. Are you concerned about these issues? Yeah, come to this meeting. What's the meeting about? Well, we're not sure yet. Well, what's the group called? Well, we haven't named it. But after 2 years, what it became was people coming together going, food insecurity doesn't have to be. And we're stronger together. And we started to call ourselves All In. We're all in for Seymour. We're all in for our neighbors. We meet twice a month. We sponsor community dinners. We go to our town hall. We make connections with our local government leaders. And we try to talk about solutions to these problems. Everybody wants healthy food for their family. Everybody wants a safe place to live. Everybody wants, a seat at the table. We don't want to be doing things for people. We want to be doing things with our neighbors. So getting to know each other and there's an all in for Oxford, there's an all in for Ansonia. And it's really a grassroots movement. Let's come together, the people that work at the pantry and the people that use the pantry, and let's talk and let's see if we can make some progress in this area. And as a clergy person, I got to tell you, it is the best work I've ever been involved in, because usually you associate a church with charity, right? We're good at doing charity. We're not as good at asking the big questions. Why are people hungry? Why do I see 30 or 40 cars pulling into the church parking lot on a daily basis to grab a couple of bags of groceries? Why is that happening in Seymour? The church doesn't usually get involved on that level. And so I am so grateful that that's not the case here in the Valley.
And then, since this group has been meeting for 2 years at this point, I'll ask, why? What are the issues that are causing this? You said inflation, but what's happening in the community that maybe I'm not seeing that is causing this? What are the top challenges Seymour faces, according to the group?
I think it's housing. I think it's lack of affordable housing. And I know that can be a buzzword and it makes people nervous, but I got to tell you, I am the mother of 5 children, 4 of them in their 20s, and all college educated. And they cannot afford to live in Seymour. They can't. And so if people are making choices between rent and food, or rent and daycare, or a mortgage and medicine, we're not making it. We have to offer more affordable housing for working people here in our town and in the Valley. That's the beginning of it, I think.
And then, because I sort of live on Facebook, whenever there's housing of any kind, I don't want to generalize, but you do see stigma and stereotype when you say affordable housing, or even if it's billed as market rate housing, there is a knee-jerk gut reaction for people to get NIMBYism, to say, well, it's low income and whatever that implies. Are there efforts underway to try to jump that sort of automatic opposition to new housing,
right? Well,
in a place like Seymour?
Yeah, that's why we have to start talking about it, because market for who? I'm not sure. A lot of people can afford what people call market rate. And when we talk about affordable housing and we think it's some other person that needs it, and I'm telling you, it's my 30-year-old UConn graduate son who is a teacher who can't afford to live on his own. So when we start telling our own personal stories, it's housing for our own children. It's housing for our parents who are on a fixed income. It's when you start seeing your neighbor as the person who's struggling, I think some of those stereotypes go away. And that's what we like about this work, because when we get to know each other, we're not as afraid of each other.
That's interesting stuff. All right. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes. I felt like I've learned something. And if anybody wants to donate, it's thegreatgive.org. I think now we've taped this in advance, but I can almost guarantee I'm going to be interviewing something like 12 to 15 groups that are involved in social services here in the Valley that are helping people. And every year there's patterns, and I can almost guarantee affordable housing, we're going to be hearing a heck of a lot of that. And I say that as a Derby resident, where it's also being under discussion here about everywhere. There's just the rents are through the roof, and it's almost obscene. And then we have Derby and Ansonia, where more and more housing is being converted into apartments. It's just sort of a very interesting scene. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for the Little Pantry. Thank you for coming on the Valley Indie to chat with me for these few minutes. I do appreciate it.
Thank you for the work you do in getting the word out. I really appreciate what you do too.
Oh, thank you. All right, everybody, thegreatgive.org. Please donate.
Thank you.